Have I truly got what is the heart of the current Conservative dilemma? And oh boy, is it a doozy. After all, the last time I did this, only, of course, Nadine Dorries and Boris Johnson had resigned. At the time of doing this, I always stress, at the time of doing this, we've had a third one. That is, of course, Nigel Adams. So that makes 3 by-elections, or the tri-election, as I heard one political commentator call it. And I think tri-election does really sort of sum it up. But Sunak is coming under more pressure to, well, just have a general election. And remember, there are still rumours that are potentially more to come. Now, the biggest impact, of course, with this either today or Monday. So after that, if no one resigns, then this threat is gone, at least for the time being. But to be honest, this is 3 by-elections that Rishi Sunak does not want to fight. And it is 3 by-elections that are ultimately going to show you just how bad the Tories are going to do at the next general election. But this video is not about that. It's not about the new tri-election or anything like that. No, today we are looking at the heart of the Conservative problem. What is it? It's still Boris Johnson, because there are a lot of commentators out there saying that now Boris Johnson has left Westminster. He's no longer going to be an MP. He's left the backbenchers. He's no longer going to be a problem to the Conservative Party. Well, as I've said numerous times now in the past and in the past couple of days, Boris Johnson's destiny, I think, is to be a YouTuber, or he'll become some sort of radio shock jock. That's what I really think he'll become. I think that's what he's going to end up becoming. And remember, even though Boris has lost very much so his pull in the parliamentary party, yes, there are still, of course, the few diehards there, but we must stress Johnson still has a lot of support and a lot of pull in the non-parliamentary party. So this idea that Johnson cannot cause trouble for the Conservatives now he's out is completely and absolutely false. And I've got 2 articles. We're not going to go through them, but I just want to show you them, just to show you the sheer desperation, or at least the hope, that all this Boris Johnson, we can stop talking about Boris Johnson now. We can all move on. Oh, but if only that were the case. As we're about to find out, Conservative Home may want to move on, but Boris Johnson certainly does not. So, before we go having a look at these 2 things today, please do remember to have a look down below at the YouTube thank you button. There's also my Patreon page. There is the Pony Club as well, and of course there is the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee. So all those links are down below. That's how you can help support the channel, or you can click on the like and share button. Those also help very much as well. So, what are we going to look at first? Well, I think it would be fair, first of all, to start off with Conservative Home. So this is the Conservative Home article, and it is here, written by Paul Goodman. And in the title, as you can see here, it's time for the Conservatives to move on from Johnson. And this is the hope. This is the hope, at least so far. And I must stress, so far, the only article on Conservative Home that has actually been written in response to Johnson leaving. I suspect that might change in the coming days. Maybe in the coming weeks, there might be more. Don't worry. As I said, this is one of the websites I keep an eye on. So if there is anything interesting that gets brought up to you, we'll bring it to you. But what's the whole point of this particular article? Well, it's the whole idea of, well, look, Johnson's gone now. He's no longer going to be on the backbenchers. It's time to move on, guys. We as a as a Conservative Party need to move on from Boris Johnson. We just need to let go and move on and look towards the future of the Conservative Party. That's what we need to be focusing on. Of course, he doesn't talk about still the big problem that it is the membership of the Conservative Party that would very, very much gladly, if Boris Johnson was ever got to a final two again, people in the Conservative Party would vote him in, or even someone who was Johnson-like we saw with Liz Truss, parroting all that same nonsense. That is still the biggest threat, and it's what a lot of Conservatives can't seem to grapple with. You may remember the whole when again their favorite T-boy went to the CDO, the Conservative Democratic Conference, and actually for the first time seemed to engage with actual Conservative Party members and found himself absolutely bewildered at the bizarre sights he was seeing and hearing as well. So that's one thing that they're refusing to acknowledge. And then, of course, along comes Henry Hill, again, the deputy editor for Conservative Home, writing in The Guardian of all things, wherein this time, the whole point of this article is that the Tories won't be fooled again. And they won't fall for Boris Johnson again. That's it. It's all over. Now that Johnson's gone, that's it. We won't get fooled again. We nearly had a runoff election between Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak. We came very, very close to it. If Boris had decided not to stand down, which there were a lot of people who were really annoyed that he stood down in the parliamentary party, if that had gotten to a final two, Boris Johnson, I think, would have won. I still think in a membership race decided upon by the party, they would have chosen Boris Johnson without a shadow of a doubt. They would have not chosen Rishi Sunak. They would have gone for Boris Johnson. So this whole idea that, the Tories won't get fooled again. Yes, some, and I just stress, some of them might not get fooled again. But remember, there are a lot of people who are now really anti-Boris Johnson who were at one point, including people like Henry Hill and, of course, on Conservative Home, who were all gun-ho, praising Boris, saying, oh my God, Boris Johnson's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Worshipping him, bringing him into the party. And why did they do that? They did that out of a sheer act of desperation. People forget what the Conservative Party was in a position when it turned to Boris Johnson to be its saviour. And there is a very, very much likelihood that in the future, down the line, Boris Johnson could return. So once again, both these whole articles of, we need to leave Boris Johnson in the past. He's done. He's over. We need to just get on, look to new leadership. And then of course, we won't get fooled again by Boris Johnson. I highly doubt it. I very much highly doubt it. Because there is one thing that certainly the Conservative media and even people in the Conservative Party really haven't taken to task, and that is the Conservative Party membership would gladly vote Boris Johnson back in a heartbeat. And that just goes to show you, once again, just how troubled the Conservative Party really is. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.